I mean, same-sex marriages are going to have the same issues that any other marriage has. But what's going to be interesting now is, I think one of the most interesting areas is going to be in a situation of what's generally known as common law marriage. So the big case that you had come down from the Supreme Court was Obergefell, okay, that basically made it the law of the land that you could have same-sex marriages. So in a heterosexual marriage situation, you could have people that were living together and holding themselves out as husband and wife, but had not actually been formally or ceremonially married, that could trace back informal marriage to the date that they began holding out. So in a same-sex case, what happens there? If, let's say that you've got a couple that's been together for 20 years, okay? But Obergefell just came out, 2-3 years ago. Well, so you've got this 17-year period that there hasn't been any determination on what to do about that. And so what all can that affect? Well, the big area is property division. Let's say that you've got one of the folks that's a big muckety-muck with IBM, and so they've got all kinds of stock grants and all kinds of stock options that have different vesting schedules. So we're not just talking about what could happen since Obergefell, and let's say that they got married the day after, okay? So let's say they've been married for 2 years, 2.5 years, all right? That stuff's easy. But what do you do about all these other years where they were holding themselves out as husband and husband, or wife and wife, or spouse and spouse, however you term it? That makes it really, really interesting. And I don't know how that's going to work out. You might end up in a situation where Texas tries to take a hardline stance and not recognize that, which I think is asinine and would be horrible law, and would give rise to lots of lawsuits in the federal court system. And frankly, I think with the current political climate in Texas, I think that's very likely to happen, especially with all the right-wing folks that are holding statewide office. But I think that's likely to happen. But what's that law going to be in Oklahoma? I have no idea. So how do you treat it if let's say you've got a situation where people got married in Texas, but they were living together and holding themselves out in the state of Oklahoma? How do you deal with that? Boy, that's a great question, and I don't know. And so you're going to end up, I think, with different rulings by different judges in the same county, much less, various courts of appeals in the state of Texas. And I mean, so I think you're going to end up with a little bit of a situation of the wild, wild west, that, you're going to end up with some well-heeled folks that have got a pretty fair amount of money that are going to fight about some stuff, coming in the years to come. So I would think within the next 5 years, it's going to get real interesting on a lot of different property cases and how those are handled.